The manga kicks off with the thunderous sound of heavy footsteps as a horde of bizarre creatures stomps forward. Then we see the protagonist, Toru, strolling along, reflecting on how it's been a whole decade since he was yeeted into this world. He muses about the grand mission of saving the world and how he's started to feel like the main character in some epic tale. It all began when he met those twins, marking the start of his journey. Back then, he was just a 15-year-old kid who got plopped into another world like a misplaced delivery package. This world isn't your typical fantasy realm. It's also infested with mech beasts, creatures that are part machines and probably part bad decision-making. Like every Isekai protagonist worth their salt, a god showed up, handed him some cheat powers, and dumped him into this dangerous, unfamiliar place. Oh, and to add insult to injury, he couldn't even understand the local language at first. Naturally, he started searching for a way back home. As he adjusted, he worked hard to learn the language and figured out how to fight. He became a wanderer, diving into the mystery of teleportation, traveling between towns and dungeons. But now, 10 years later, he still hasn't found a single clue. Our hero, formerly known as Sato on Earth, is now called Toru. He's sitting with his old master, who sighs and brings up the whole getting transported to another world thing. Toru instantly reacts, knowing the old man doesn't believe him. Still, after 9 years of struggles, he's finally decided to stay and live in this world. He's strong enough now, knowledgeable enough to survive. From now on, he wants to enjoy this world instead of wasting time wishing to go back. His master casually acknowledges his enthusiasm but brings up the town's struggling economy, mentioning that it's always been like this. As the old man pours another drink, Toru is caught off guard, saying he didn't order it. The master simply calls it a thank you for his generosity during hard times. Since it's a new beginning, he says it would be a shame to celebrate alone. Toru wonders why this place isn't more popular despite having such a charming owner. The master, clearly annoyed, brushes him off with a grunt. Letting go of the idea of returning to Earth, Toru frequently thinks about building a life here. As he becomes more skilled, his life stabilizes, and his motivation to return home starts to fade. Eventually, he stops searching for a way back. Many times, he considers fully embracing this new life, but the unpredictability of being transported still lingers in his mind. The thought that he could be suddenly teleported again never truly leaves him. Whether it's another unknown world or even Earth, the uncertainty makes him feel uneasy. Because of this constant anxiety, he struggles to feel attached to this world and often chooses solitude. Whenever that happens, nostalgia for Earth creeps in, trapping him in the same dilemma for 9 years. Realizing he's getting too emotional, he shakes his head, determined to change his mindset. It's been 10 years, and he hasn't been teleported anywhere since. It's time to move on. He spent all this time worrying about something that never happened. If he's here, he might as well make the most of it. A carefree, fun journey in another world, that's what he should focus on now. As he walks through the streets, he notices a trio of delinquent-looking adventurers standing ahead of him. His eyes land on the leader, who has both a mechanical arm and a mechanical leg. Without thinking, he rushes forward and slashes at the mechanical arm, causing it to fall off. In the process, he stumbles backward with a loud thud. Realizing his mistake, he mutters to himself, scolding the guy for using such poorly made equipment and tossing the arm back. Immediately, the three gang up on him, beating him down without hesitation. But before they can do any real damage, he vanishes from the chaos. The leader picks up his mechanical arm and quickly reattaches it. His female companion snaps at him for losing such an important piece so easily, calling him an idiot. He admits he let his guard down, assuming Toru was just some drunk. Another guy in the group wonders if this was the same person spying on them earlier, but they brush it off, figuring the problem is handled. Just then, Toru's voice cuts through the air, calmly telling them to clean up the dead body before the guards arrive. He reappears behind them, throwing in a sarcastic apology for insulting the quality of the mechanical arm. The trio instantly tense up, getting ready for another fight. Seeing their aggression, Toru tries to de-escalate the situation, reminding them that he'd already returned the arm and apologize. But his attitude only irritates them more, especially the girl, who is completely baffled by his behavior. Even so, the numbers are in their favor. It's still 3 against 1. Toru finds himself completely overpowered, unable to land a single hit, counter, or even escape. Just as he exerts himself, dizziness takes over, and he ends up throwing up, leaving the trio in shock. Embarrassed and wobbling, he realizes his condition is getting worse. One of the girls, now angrier than ever, charges at him, ready to finish him off. But before she can act, the sound of guards approaching interrupts the chaos. The officers demand to know who's responsible for the damage. The trio panics, realizing they need to escape immediately. They turn into angry ghosts, vowing revenge, warning Toru that the next time he hears that metallic sound, it'll mean his end. Confused, he wonders why they're so mad. The guards, noticing his disheveled state and the smell of alcohol, assume he's involved and decide to take him to the station for questioning. Toru protests, insisting he's the victim. Just then, a massive man steps in, vouching for him. The man, whom introduces himself as Urban, the guild master of Durandi's Adventurers Guild, explains that he saw everything and that Toru was attacked without reason. Urban then shifts the conversation, stating he has a personal request for Toru, leading them to the guild building. There, Toru eats hungrily, exhausted from the ordeal. As he processes everything, he reflects on how rough his 10th year in this fantasy world has been. Just when he thought he could relax, more trouble finds him. Urban asks if he's feeling better, and Toru thanks him for stepping in. He's curious why someone like him, a wanderer, is being asked for a mission. He also wants to know more about the adventurers with mechanical limbs, Demon Centipede. Urban starts explaining. The town is heavily influenced by a major trading company, the Bazoo. The former head and his wife were well respected, treating their employees like family and supporting many charitable causes. But 3 years ago, they died in a tragic accident. After their passing, a man named Hassarin took over, and everything changed. He got rid of anyone he didn't like and exploited those who remained loyal. He also formed an elite guard, Demon Centipede, a powerful faction equipped with mechanical arms and legs, making them the strongest group in town. But the real problem: Hassarin now has his sights set on the former head's twin daughters. He's pressuring them into marriage while keeping them locked away inside the company. Toru pieces it together. Hassarin's plan is to take over the company completely. Urban mentions that the twins are not only talented but beautiful, which might be another reason Hassarin wants control over them. The mission is clear: rescue and protect the twins from Demon Centipede. But Toru wonders why such an important task isn't being handled by trusted guild adventurers. Urban reveals the harsh truth: no one in town is strong enough to stand against Demon Centipede. On top of that, Wabazu provides many adventurers with jobs, so going against them would mean cutting off a major revenue stream. But a wanderer like Toru? That's a different story. While Urban assures him there's a reward, he warns that this mission could lead to full-scale war. Demon Centipede has powerful fighters, but the twins are running out of time. Their parents' legacy is being destroyed, and soon they'll fall into Hassarin's grasp. Without hesitation, Toru accepts the mission. He's already holding a grudge against Demon Centipede for attacking him, so he's ready to humiliate them and safely rescue the twins. No need for further details. He just wants to get started. Later, he arrives at the Yubazu Trading Company, keeping a low profile while scouting the area. The twins are locked away on the top floor just as Urban had informed him. They've been secretly communicating through coded letters, waiting for help to arrive. The plan is simple: get to the twins without being noticed. If security finds out, things will get much worse, and Hassarin could take extreme measures. Toru reflects on how, after years of trying to take it easy in this world, he's now thrown into a classic rescue the girl mission, except this time, it's 2 girls. Still, there's something exciting about it. He knocks on the door, introducing himself as a wanderer sent by Urban. The twins respond with excitement, relieved that someone has finally come to save them. Just as they're about to open the door, an arrow suddenly pierces through, nearly hitting him. He dodges just in time, stumbling backward. The twins, having tested his reflexes, are impressed. They acknowledge that the guild master made a great choice and decide to make another request. On top of being rescued, they want revenge. Demon Centipede and Hassarin need to pay for what they've done to their family's company. Toru realizes this is just the beginning of something much bigger. The twins extend their hands toward him, asking him to fight alongside them. He hesitates for only a moment before feeling a rush of excitement. His life has taken an unexpected turn, But maybe, just maybe, this is exactly the adventure he was meant to have. And hey, if nothing else, at least he's got two beautiful twins on his side. The scene shifts to two men chatting about the latest rumors. They talk about a possible gold smuggling operation and how the shortage of gold coins is throwing everything into chaos. Businesses are shutting down, markets are unstable, and the economy is in terrible shape. They don't care whether it's the guards or adventurers handling it, they just want someone to catch the culprit. Meanwhile, the guildmaster sighs, feeling exhausted from dealing with the gold smuggling issue. He worries that more people will get dragged into the mess and hopes they can stay out of trouble. Toru arrives and listens to the twins talking about gold smuggling, feeling confused about the situation. He came here under the guildmaster's orders to rescue them, but the twins seem completely unfazed. They explain that their captivity actually gave the guild an excuse to send adventurers, which worked out in their favor. Toru, baffled by their attitude, starts questioning their true identity. They don't seem like just daughters of a trading company. They carry themselves like noble women. Everything around them looks expensive, and he starts noticing just how high-class the room feels. The twins introduce themselves as Yuffie, the older sister, and Mary, the younger one. They offer Toru tea, telling him to relax, but he can't believe how calm they are in the middle of enemy territory. He urges them to escape, but they insist that now isn't the best time. Security is always tight during product transport, especially when the demon centipede is around. They believe it's smarter to wait and use the time to talk. They explain that Durandi is going through an unusual gold coin shortage, which has caused major disruptions in trade. Exchange rates between gold, silver, and copper coins have been thrown off, bringing business to a halt. The town's economy is collapsing, and more shops are shutting down by the day. The root cause isn't just debt, it's likely gold smuggling. The only group capable of pulling off such a large-scale operation is Ubazu, the richest trading company in town. Before being locked up, they found records of hidden funds, but those documents are probably gone by now. The money is likely already on the move. Toru listens but remains skeptical. He acknowledges that it sounds suspicious, but it's still just speculation. If gold smuggling were happening on such a massive scale, it should have been caught at the checkpoints. When he entered the town the previous day, security was extremely tight. He questions how they could possibly smuggle gold past those defenses. Yuffie argues that if even the most experienced checkpoint officers haven't noticed anything, then the method must be highly sophisticated. She finds the mystery exciting and wants to investigate further. They know it's only speculation for now, but that's exactly why they need to confirm their suspicions. They ask Toru to help, even if just for today. Toru immediately refuses, reminding them that his mission is to rescue them, not investigate smuggling. He can't take on overlapping jobs. Before they can continue discussing, they hear someone approaching the door. Realizing the danger, the twins stay calm and tell Toru to hide while they handle the situation. A familiar voice greets them. It's Hassarin, the president of Ubazu, along with Wenz, the leader of the demon centipede. Toru watches as they enter, recognizing Hassarin as exactly the kind of person the rumors described. Wenz, on the other hand, has a dangerous reputation, and Toru recalls the guild master's warning about how strong he is. Hassarin confronts the twins, accusing them of digging into the company's affairs. He believes they've already uncovered too much and implies that their actions could destroy the company if the truth gets out. Toru quickly realizes that if the scandal surrounding Hassarin were to go public, the entire trading company could collapse just from the backlash alone. It wouldn't just be a credibility issue, it would be a full-scale crime. Hassarin tries to manipulate Mary by reminding her of their family's legacy. He insists that the trading company, built by their parents, holds too many cherished memories to be abandoned. He can't understand why they would throw it all away. He adds pressure, telling Mary that marrying him would secure her future. He promises to grant her freedom, give her employment, and even establish the product development department she's always dreamed of. He argues that it's a much more productive path than continuing to resist. Mary refuses, standing by her principles. She believes that pain must be endured to remove corruption at its core. The twins remind Hassarin that their parents left behind strong values for the company, values that he has completely ignored. His reckless actions, including firing employees without care, have brought Durandi's economy to ruin. They refuse to stand by and watch him exploit Yubazu for personal gain. Even if they lose their home in the process, they are determined to expose their crimes and seek justice. Hassarin remains unfazed, mocking their defiance. Wen speaks up and tells them that no matter how much they resist, they aren't escaping. He sees their efforts as pathetic and insists that knowing when to quit is a key lesson in business. If Hassarin orders it, the demon centipede will show no mercy next time. After they leave, Toru finally exhales in relief. He turns back to the twins and, despite everything, agrees to help them for the day. However, he makes it clear, if they can't expose the smuggling operation by then, he'll have to evacuate them by force. Miri thanks him, and as Toru reflects on everything, he feels a familiar sense of longing. The determination the twins carry reminds him of his own past, the feeling of wanting to return to something he couldn't let go of for years. After 10 years in this other world, for the first time, he actually feels excited about what's to come. Mary and Yuffie excitedly get up, eager to start the investigation, while Toru is surprised at their enthusiasm. Yuffie explains that since they can't move freely, Toru needs to run an errand for them. His task is to gather intel at an inn where 20 members of Demon Centipede are staying, as they suspect the group is behind the gold smuggling. Given the special treatment Hassarin extends to them, investigating this lead seems like the fastest way to expose their methods. Demon Centipede moves in and out of town under the guise of escorting shipments, making it easier to smuggle goods unnoticed. Toru is pondering whether the inn crew will easily spill the beans on their guests, or if they're gearing up to go full detective mode on those pesky Demon Centipede suspects. The twins, unfazed, hint at an alternative approach, pointing out that serving meals for 20 people is bound to result in a significant amount of leftovers. Later that evening, Toru returns with the intel, only to be met with the twins' excited welcome. Annoyed at being sent out, he reflects on the unexpected source of their information, the homeless people gathering for leftovers. It's not exactly the kind of refined strategy he would have expected from the twins. Coming out of his thoughts, he informs them that his notes didn't yield anything valuable. But Yuffie quickly points out something interesting. On the days Demon Centipede members leave town, firewood usage at the inn increases dramatically. Toru initially assumes it's just for heating water for baths, given that a group that spends days guarding shipments would want to clean up before heading out. However, Yuffie counters that there's no mention of an equivalent increase in water usage, making the firewood consumption suspicious. The realization sparks something in Toru. The investigation feels surreal, like they're chasing after trivial details rather than exposing a major crime. If they mess up, the consequences could be dire. Then another thought strikes him. Has anyone investigated Demon Centipede's mechanical arms and legs? They seem like a convenient place to hide something. Mary recalls that inspectors once conducted a surprise disassembly inspection but found nothing hidden in the parts. Simply wedging something between them would be too obvious, and embedding items inside them would be physically and financially impractical. She questions why he suddenly thought of this. Toru takes a sip of tea and explains that he was attacked by Demon Centipede the previous night, probably because he accidentally grabbed one of their mechanical arms. Their reaction was extreme, almost unnaturally so. What stood out even more was the poor quality of the mechanical arm itself. It felt off. The twins start muttering, piecing together the clues. Poorly crafted mechanical limbs, no evidence found despite inspections, and suspicious firewood usage. Suddenly, they jump up in realization. They finally understand why the pieces weren't adding up. Demon Centipede has been using something that doesn't exist in this world. Meanwhile, Hassarin sits in his cruiser, inquiring about the progress of their gold coin operation. Wenz assures him everything is going smoothly, and they're close to reaching their target. Hassarin, thrilled, laughs in anticipation, but suddenly a loud commotion interrupts him. He demands to know what's happening, and one of his men informs him that guards, adventurers, and possibly inspectors are on their way. Panic sets in as he orders them to escape. Seeing the growing number of shadows approaching, a realization hits him. This might be the twins' doing. Before he can react further, Mary and Yuffie arrive with a group of enforcers. They formally place Hassarin and Wenz under arrest for gold smuggling. The guild master is with them, admitting that when Toru uncovered the smuggling operation, he was stunned. Organizing a joint operation with guards and inspectors for a mass arrest was a bold move, one that initially threw him into a panic. But in the end, there was no one else but the guild master who could pull it off. Hassarin, still defiant, demands proof. He refuses to accept the accusations without solid evidence. Toru, unfazed, confirms that they have it. Yuffie reveals the key detail: they had been smuggling gold coins using their mechanical gear. Hassarin scoffs, reminding them that Demon Centipede had cooperated with previous disassembly inspections, yet nothing was ever found. He mocks the idea that they could have melted and hidden coins inside the mechanical parts, calling it absurd. Yuffie, unfazed, points out that he possesses something quite convenient, an object that doesn't naturally exist in this world. She reveals that they were using wood's metal, a rare material from another world, with an unusually low melting point of around 70 degrees. The increased firewood usage at the inn wasn't for baths, it was for melting the metal. The coins were hidden inside the mechanical parts, then melted out when necessary. The poorly maintained limbs were simply a result of their carelessness. The guild master confirms their findings, stating that they had performed the same test at a checkpoint and retrieved solid evidence. That's why they were able to secure an arrest warrant. Now only Hassarin and Wenz remain. He advises them to surrender, warning that even in business, knowing when to give up is crucial to avoid further trouble. Hassarin, frustrated, mutters curses under his breath before signaling his men to attack. He reminds everyone that standing beside him is Demon Centipede's #1 fighter, his superior. No one in town can defeat him. The guild master acknowledges the truth in Hassarin's words. In a one-on-one fight, their opponent might have the upper hand. But right now, they have numbers and a solid plan. Even so, the sheer pressure of the moment is overwhelming. His instincts tell him to step back. Then Toru steps forward. Wenz demands to know who he is, and Toru introduces himself as a solo adventurer, B rank, hired as an errand boy by the twins and the old man. Wenz, unimpressed, assumes that since Toru played a role in exposing their scheme, he must have some skill. But as a mere solo B rank, he doesn't stand a chance against Demon Centipede's elite fighters. As Wenz signals his men to attack, Toru swiftly takes them down in a single move. With 9 years of experience as a solo adventurer, he's long since learned how to handle opponents who rely on sheer numbers. Wenz and Hassarin watch in shock. A lone B-rank fighter, moving like that. Recognition dawns on them. He's not just any adventurer. He's Red Thunder, ranked 17th, an elite ancient fighter known for his overwhelming strength. Toru simply smirks, reminding them not to underestimate those who fight alone. The adventurer ranking system is divided into 2 classifications: the guild rank system and the order system. The guild rank system determines an adventurer's rank based on mission achievements and specific requirements. Missions vary in difficulty, ranging from defending major strongholds to defeating hordes of magical beasts. Ranks are structured as follows. A rank is granted to individuals with significant achievements, usually within a party of 5 or more. B rank is assigned to those capable of enchanting weapons, while C rank is for adventurers who can defeat magical beasts on their own. On the other hand, the order system ranks adventurers and parties purely based on their abilities and accomplishments, recognizing the top 50 individuals and teams. This system was created to ensure that skilled adventurers who might be overlooked by the guild rank system still receive recognition. While A-rank adventurers hold significant influence in society, some highly capable individuals remain in B-rank due to their choice to work solo, as forming a party is a requirement for A-rank promotion. Despite this limitation, only 3 solo adventurers have ever reached prestigious order rankings while staying in B rank. Known as the strongest solo fighters, these individuals have earned distinctive titles. Overseer, who holds the highest order ranking, Eagle Eye, ranked 19th, and Red Thunder, who also sits among the top-ranked adventurers. These 3 stand as proof that individual strength and talent can sometimes surpass structured progression. Wenz turns to Toru, startled by his presence and the strange weapon he carries. Confusion and unease fill his mind as he struggles to understand why Toru is there and what kind of weapon he's wielding. Toru holds up his weapon, a custom creation he calls the Chain War Ring. It's something he has worked on for years, yet it's always met with ridicule. If he shows it, people laugh. If he uses it, they call him a weirdo. But after 9 long years of fighting as an adventurer, this is the result of his efforts. Wenz watches closely, Analyzing the situation, Toru's nickname suggests an affinity for lightning, but the way his subordinates were taken down wasn't from raw magic, it was the weapon's doing. The sheer effectiveness of it leaves Wenz unable to comprehend how Toru could possibly cause so much damage with such an unusual weapon. Despite facing an opponent ranked in the order, he refuses to back down. He believes that by working together, they stand a chance of winning. His determination is clear. Meanwhile, the master assesses the situation with concern, echoing Toru's words in his mind. The enemy consists of elite officials, and while Wenz himself is dangerous, the real strength of Demon Centipede lies in their teamwork. Their flawless coordination is what has earned them the reputation of being the top clan in town. They don't fight as individuals, they move as one, a living beast. Then, without warning, Toru launches a sudden attack, catching Wenz completely off guard. In that brief moment, the strike happens so fast that Wenz can't even process it. His mind races, but before he can react, it's already over. Wenz's subordinates, confused and in pain, ask what's going on, but Wenz orders them to quickly get into position. However, before they can react, Toru activates his spell, turning them into coal instantly. Wenz, now terrified, wonders if this is the end. As he reflects on his life as an adventurer, he realizes he has never known any other way to live. Even when he was offered a way out by a devil with a mechanical arm, he reluctantly agreed to help with gold smuggling. Despite knowing it was a crime, he felt no other option. His sense of gratitude for the power to continue fighting keeps him going, even if it's a debt he must pay. Wenz's thoughts are interrupted when Toru, still calm, asks if he's really willing to fight for someone like that. He comments on the code of honor that even rotten people like him have. The tension rises as the two lock eyes, both preparing to attack. Wenz, recognizing the speed of Toru's attacks, decides to first stop his momentum. Toru, however, uses his wind magic to create a whirlpool, launching multiple attacks at Wenz. He dodges and cuts through the rings of wind, but just as he nears Toru, sure that he dodged the attack, but gets engulfed in flames. In agony, Wenz mutters in disbelief, his mind struggling to comprehend the intensity of the situation. The twins, watching the battle unfold, marvel at Toru's control over electricity and the intricacy of his weapon's movements. They realize that the chain war ring is enchanted to generate magnetic forces, allowing Toru to control it with incredible precision, something that seems impossible without years of experience. Toru, sensing the fight is nearing its end, tells Wenz to take a rest. Wenz, still in pain, mutters angrily, unable to accept the disparity in their strength. As Toru walks away to deal with what remains of the situation, Hassarin frantically shouts at him, blaming him for everything and cursing the uselessness of his subordinates. Hassarin had dreamed of starting a business, marrying the twins, and making money, but now everything has fallen apart. Toru, unfazed, simply calls Hassarin useless and proceeds to finish what he started. The twins sit nearby, gossiping in amazement at Toru's power, especially his nickname, Red Thunder. Toru, trying to downplay it, explains that he avoids mentioning his nickname because it reveals too much about his combat style. The twins, impressed, comment that his abilities seem unbeatable. Toru, feeling the exhaustion after the intense battle, admits that he's been awake for 2 nights straight and is now completely exhausted. He laughs it off when Yuffie teases him about even someone like Red Thunder needing sleep. The twins thank Toru again, expressing their gratitude for everything he's done. He blushes at their words, but after a quick farewell, he walks away relieved to have it over. Later, while the twins clean up, they notice something strange. Toru's notebook, left behind on the spot where he had been sitting. Meanwhile, Toru wakes up in his bed, feeling incredibly well rested after 2 sleepless nights. But his moment of peace is interrupted when he opens his eyes to find the twins sitting on his bed, shocking him. He asks what they're doing there, but Mary simply explains that the inn is affiliated with the Adventurers Guild, so they ask the guild master to let them in. Toru, still confused, asks why they're there, considering they had said their goodbyes the day before. The twins, with a mischievous smile, suggest that he might want to make an investment in them. Toru confronts them, questioning if they really tracked down his location just to pitch a shady investment scheme. They simultaneously defend themselves, insisting they're completely clean and safe. They proceed with their report, stating that a ruling has been made for the Yubazu Trading Company. Hassarin, Wens, and everyone under the demon centipede receive prison sentences, along with those caught in gold smuggling. The Yubazu Trading Company is fined 3,000 Jevon Kuzum gold coins. Toru inquires if they can pay that amount, to which they admit they cannot. They plan to use available assets and auction Yubazu's land and buildings to cover the fine. Toru acknowledges this expected outcome. Yufa mentions they have no choice but to close down Yubazu, lacking trust, employees, or funds. Toru asks about the old man, and she confirms he offered them a place to stay, but they're considering going on a journey. They've long desired to travel across different lands to enrich their knowledge, especially about lost objects. Toru points out it's dangerous for two beautiful young ladies to travel alone, and they don't have the money to hire adventurers for protection. Miri excitedly brings up the earlier investment, suggesting that if Toru invests in guarding them, they'll resolve the issues he's dealing with. Toru is puzzled, asking if his problem will be resolved. Miri changes the topic, returning something Toru left behind at Yubazu the previous day. He recalls losing his journal, which he used to document ways to return to Earth. Though it's not important anymore, he's concerned. The twins suddenly glare at him, exclaiming that Toru himself is a lost object and questioning why he didn't tell them. They eagerly ask about flying airplanes and video games. Toru thinks the twins have become aware of this and loudly demands they forget that, asking about the investment they mentioned. They express endless fascination with Toru, especially his writings about the anxiety of suddenly being teleported and spending 9 years seeking a way back, becoming a wandering loner, achieving B rank and placement in the order. Toru brushes it off, stating that's all over now, and he's decided to live in this world. Yuffie expresses that her worries aren't east. Toru internally considers the chance he could be teleported again. They propose that if Toru invests in protecting them, they'll help him find a place where he can forget his anxieties during their journey. If they can't find it, they'll create it together, a place where he belongs. The twins assure him that their journey together will ease his fears of teleporting again and the anxiety of the past 9 years. They urge him to make this his most thrilling 10th year. Excited yet wary, Toru finds their investment proposal suspicious but intriguing. Still, he senses real possibility with them, believing they can accomplish what he couldn't alone in his struggle to return home. At the guild, the master is relieved that tough times have passed, noting the guild's prosperity. He mentions that the former Yubazu Company head's twin daughters resolved the recent crisis alongside the famed adventurer, Red Thunder. While some criticize their late intervention, he finds their actions commendable. Curious, he wonders what the twins are like. The twins arrive, apologizing to Toru for the delay caused by paperwork related to Yubazu. They're now ready for their first destination, Flareia, the dungeon city. The master welcomes them warmly. Toru thanks him for the drink from the other day and reflects on Flareia, the only city with an economy centered around dungeons. Their primary goal in the dungeon awaits. The master expresses concern for the twins' safety, reminding them to pack everything, carry self-defense weapons, and avoid following strangers. The twins reassure him with a smile, asking him to calm down. Turning to Toru, the master warns him of the consequences if the twins get hurt or if he oversteps boundaries, humorously threatening that Toru's face will turn red not from lightning, but from his wrath. Toru, a bit fearful, acknowledges the warning and suggests they depart before it gets dark. As they set off, the twins chuckle, noting that the path ahead seems a bit worrisome. Internally, Toru reflects that at that moment, they couldn't have anticipated the valuable events awaiting them in Flareia, nor the downfall they would inadvertently cause. Toru reflects on his decision to embark on a journey with the boastful twins, hoping that this thrilling adventure will ease his worries about the sudden teleportation anxiety. The twins are accompanying him to observe, and since they need funds, they'll work a bit at the dungeon. Although he desires a carefree journey, their first stop is the dungeon city Flareia. Thus begins his 10th year. After 3 days of travel, the twins express their discomfort, longing for real food, soft beds, and baths. Toru recalls his own early days as a novice adventurer and acknowledges that camping can be exhausting for those unaccustomed to it. He suggests an early lunch break, noting that they still have some energy left. They set up camp and start cooking. While eating, Mary feels a bit uncomfortable under Toru's gaze. He reassures her, mentioning that no matter how often he sees it, Their synchronization always looks impressive. Miri attributes their synergy to being natural for them, as they have shared thoughts completely since birth. Even when apart, they share all ideas and thoughts, leaving no room for misunderstandings. This constant synchronization is a remarkable feature of their bond. Toru, however, is more concerned about their pace. He urges them to hurry so they can reach their destination before nightfall. The twins tease him, suggesting he has plenty of energy after all. Toru reflects on how he was overruled when he tried to set the pace and considers that their journey isn't urgent, so it's fine. He is still surprised by their mind link, which he learned about recently. Meanwhile, Mary, sitting in a hot spring, feels the fatigue from the past 3 days melting away. She gains some insight into Toru's situation and realizes that the anxiety he's carrying is greater than she thought. Toru's a little confused when the twins ask him to call them by their names. They're tired of being called "you guys" all the time, which feels like they're strangers despite traveling together. Toru shrugs it off but admits he still can't tell them apart, though he promises to try harder. He's thinking to himself, "Okay, you feed Miri. Got it?" But then his mind drifts to his own unresolved anxiety. What if he suddenly gets teleported again and ends up abandoning those who depend on him? Even finding companions doesn't seem to ease that fear. Ufi notices Toru's struggle to tell them apart and realizes he's not even trying. She's got a plan. If they stop depending on Toru-san so much, maybe they can help ease his anxiety. The thing is, Toru's fear of abandoning others is tied to his trauma, and it's clear that worrying about letting others down makes him hesitate to form close bonds. She figures they need to prove they can stand on their own and not rely on Toru-san. That way he can stop fearing they'll be left behind. But yeah, how are they supposed to match up to someone like Toru? He's basically a one-man army. Toru, noticing the twins lost in thought, asks if they're doing okay. They ask about his drink, and he tells them it's called a sparkling potion, his town's specialty. He orders a couple more, and the waitress explains they're great for fast recovery and perfect for battling fatigue. The twins are surprised by how fancy the potion is. Toru laughs and says the sparkling property is fragile. If the bottle gets shaken even a little, it loses its sparkle and can even explode. It's a delicate thing, only available in this hot spring town. Apparently, people even travel here just to try it out. Meanwhile, Toru watches the twins, who are clearly deep in thought again. He wonders if they're secretly having another mind meeting, which, with them, is totally a thing. How is it even possible for them to have such an intense connection? He's not sure, but they're definitely up to something. Suddenly, the twins announce that they want to learn how to fight in the dungeon. Toru's shocked. Weren't they just supposed to observe? But they explain that the stronger they are, the less he has to worry. Toru's curious, asking if they'd come up with some sort of strategy. They both just smile, saying it's a secret. Inside, though, they're already plotting their next move. They're determined to prove themselves in the dungeon city, Flareia, and fight alongside him. As they travel, a sudden cracking sound catches their attention. Toru sighs, realizing one of the sparkling potions has broken, while another has gone completely flat. He knew this would happen. Transporting carbonated potions on bumpy roads was a bad idea from the start. Adventurers don't have the luxury of handling delicate items, and no matter what, the fizz would be lost. But before he can dwell on it, a much more important sight comes into view. Their carriage comes to a halt as they arrive at Flareia, the city built around dungeon exploration. Protected by a magical barrier, it keeps out the creatures drawn to the dungeon's energy. This is the only place in the world where an entire economy revolves around dungeon hunting. The monsters inside provide valuable materials, adventurers keep the roads safe, and businesses thrive by catering to them. What started as a small village exploded into a massive city in just 3 decades after the dungeon first appeared. Even with all its success, something about Flareia feels off to Toru. The economy may be booming, but dungeons are incredibly dangerous. Many believe they played a role in the downfall of the old world, yet they're also what keeps this city running. Adventurers are expected to seal dungeons, but completely shutting them down would destroy the economy. Despite the protective barrier, monster outbreaks still happen, sometimes leading to casualties. It's a strange situation, both a constant threat and the foundation of their livelihood. Standing before a massive building, the three step inside and come face to face with an enormous portal. The twins stare in amazement. Toru reminds them of their plan from the hot spring town. They'll earn some money by hunting monsters. Since this will also serve as combat training for them, they won't be going too deep for now. As they prepare, a man passes by, carrying a spear over his shoulder. His presence alone is enough to unsettle them, radiating an undeniable strength. He's clearly no beginner. This dungeon is open to everyone, from newcomers to veteran adventurers. Stepping inside, the twins are momentarily speechless, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the dungeon. Toru explains how the environment shifts on each floor. Newcomers stick to the first four, intermediate adventurers take on the fifth and sixth, and the real pros climb to the higher levels. But for now, all of that can wait. It's time to see what the twins can do. Before they can react, a multi-eyed monster appears. Toru smirks, joking that this might be too much for two people who struggled on their journey here. But before he can finish, the twins spring into action. In perfect sync, they draw their weapons and launch an attack, knocking the monster back instantly. Their movements are sharp and precise, their focus unshakable. Within moments, they've completely taken control of the battle, tearing the monster apart effortlessly. Toru watches, completely caught off guard, as the twins turn to him, clearly pleased with themselves. Apparently, the guild master had already trained them in basic combat. Annoyed, Toru realizes they could have mentioned that before jumping straight into a fight. Toru watches the twins in action, completely caught off guard. He hadn't expected this at all. What stands out most is their ability to move as one. Mary takes on the role of distraction while Yuffie focuses on attacking weak points. Their teamwork makes the fight entirely one-sided. However, despite their coordination, they still lack raw strength and stamina. If they ever get separated, their strategy would fall apart. Now it makes sense why they hired him. Their previous gold smuggling job must have been for a similar reason. Shaking off his thoughts, Toru shifts focus. Building strength and endurance takes time, but if they could learn body enhancement techniques, it would help. He decides to teach them some crucial defensive skills used by top-tier adventurers, introducing them to advanced enchantment magic. As training progresses, he notices their flushed faces and heavy breathing. They're clearly exhausted. He reminds them to pace themselves, but their delayed response says it all. They've pushed too hard. At least they've earned some money now, so it's time to restock supplies. But before they can rush off, he grabs their shoulders, reminding them that it's not just stamina they've drained, they've also burned through their mana. The smart move is to return to the inn and recover before doing anything else. Before they can respond, a passerby approaches, concerned about their state. The man asks if everything is all right, noting that they don't look well. Toru admits they probably overdid it and asks if there's anywhere nearby where they can sit and recover. Fortunately, the man knows just the place and offers to guide them to some benches close by. After getting them settled, Toru expresses his gratitude, wishing he could properly thank their helpful guide. The man waves it off, saying it's his pleasure. In Flareia, adventurers are highly regarded, and he's in an especially good mood today after finalizing a successful business deal. That catches Toru's attention. A merchant, huh? It's refreshing to meet someone this friendly in the city. Miri, always curious, asks what kind of merchandise he deals in. Spotting an interesting item, they suddenly recognize it. It looks like a mystery clock. Toru, unfamiliar with the term, asks what it is. The merchant is pleasantly surprised by their knowledge and explains its design. A clock with floating hands, cleverly built with hidden gears. When turned, it creates the illusion of the hands hovering in midair. The twins light up with excitement. They've only ever read about this in books on Earth's artifacts. This is the first time they're seeing a real one. The merchant confirms that they can read artifact scripts, impressed by their knowledge. He explains that this version is a replica of an Earth relic found in a dungeon. The real one was dismantled to understand its mechanics, and using materials sourced from the Flareia dungeon, they were able to recreate it. Toru examines the clock, impressed by the sheer clarity of the glass. It's far superior to regular glasswork. The merchant explains that the material comes from a turtle-like monster known as Kuro. Its shell provides an exceptional clear material that makes the illusion work. Thinking it over, Toru realizes that most people would be satisfied just owning such a rare relic, but these merchants went further. They must have taken the original apart, studied it, and then used their own resources to mass-produce it. It makes him wonder. Defeating Kuro isn't easy. Merchants in this city are definitely a different breed. Something about it unsettles him. As he listens, the conversation shifts into a serious business discussion. The twins throw out questions about production costs, target customers, and even durability. Their engagement surprises him, but he can't deny he's impressed. Before they can continue, a woman rushes toward them, clearly out of breath. She's been searching everywhere for the merchant, calling him the Grand Merchant. Apparently, he disappeared while they were arranging for an arcane vehicle, and his team got worried. The merchant simply shrugs, saying he just wanted to stretch his legs. No harm done. That's when reality sinks in. Toru and the twins stare in shock. This isn't just any merchant. He's the head of all trade in Flareia, the leader of the Merchants Guild. Laughing, the Grand Merchant apologizes for not mentioning it sooner. He confirms his identity, introducing himself as Madiko, a member of the Flareia Council. He enjoys their discussion and suggests they keep in touch. If they ever want to discuss business, they're welcome to approach him. As Madiko turns back to the woman, Toru processes everything. The Grand Merchant himself, right in front of them. No wonder he had such a sharp business sense. A guild leader and council member, this man is a true heavyweight in the city. Shaking off the surprise, Toru notices the twins looking more energized. Since they can move again, it's time to head back to the inn. But of course, the twins have other ideas. After witnessing such impressive business negotiations, they're fired up and ready to shop. No way can they sit still now. They rush off, dragging Toru along as they go on a spending spree. Later that night, Toru watches them unpack their purchases, confused. They'd bought white powder from a glass workshop, reddish-purple powder from a vintner's shop, and various portions from an alchemist. He sighs, wondering why they dragged their exhausted bodies around just to gather all this random stuff. What exactly are they planning? The twins only grin, telling him to wait and see. If things work out, he's in for a surprise. A few days later, they visit Kirin Atelier, home to a master alchemist. The director's reaction is immediate, shock and disbelief. What they brought should be impossible to transport here. It's a substance that only exists in the hot spring towns region, and yet right in front of her, there it is. More importantly, the biggest surprise of all, a sparkling potion in Flareia. A while back, Toru had asked the twins how a regular potion had suddenly become fizzy. All they had done was mix a couple of powders into it, right? The twins had laughed and explained that carbonation happened by infusing liquid with carbon dioxide. That was where the white powder from the glassmaker came in. The reddish-purple powder from the vintner's shop was actually crushed wine crystals, commonly known as tartar. By combining the two powders in water, they had essentially created an effervescent mix, perfect for turning any potion into a sparkling one. They called it fizz powder, a game-changer for adventurers, allowing them to make sparkling potions on the go without losing carbonation. They hadn't been completely sure it would work in potions, but for now, it seemed fine. Toru, curious as always, grabbed a bottle and downed the potion before they could stop him. Moments later, he was on the floor. When asked what he was thinking, he admitted he just wanted to test if it was the real deal. The twins, exasperated, reminded him that potions contain mana and functioned like medicine. Mixing random ingredients into them could cause unexpected side effects. The next step was to confirm its effectiveness properly. They decided to start with animal testing, but the idea of snatching rodents from the streets wasn't appealing. Instead, they joked about putting up volunteers wanted signs around the city. Ultimately, they realized there were plenty of potential test subjects in the dungeon. Inside the potion atelier, Kirin carefully analyzes the potion. The tests confirm it's a real sparkling potion, exactly like the original. She officially recognizes it, using her full authority as a master alchemist of the Alchemist's Guild. She's impressed they managed to produce it on-site, especially since it can't be transported. Using technology from another world to pull this off is no small feat. Trade secrets aside, their innovation and insight stand out. This launch is going to change the way people think about potions. She offers to source the ingredients for them if they're open to it. Toru immediately realizes they don't have a smooth excuse prepared, but before he can react, the twins excitedly agree, on one condition. If the atelier can adjust the potion's taste and flavor to complement the fizz and make it more appealing, they're ready to sign a contract. They know it won't be easy, but since the atelier has the best reputation in the city for potion craftsmanship, they figure this is the perfect place for the job. If it's too difficult, no worries. They'll just move on. Chiron hesitates for a moment but then confidently agrees to take on the challenge. Toru watches as she walks right into the twins' trap. Merchants really are terrifying. Next, they head to the glass workshop, where Langus immediately recognizes the twins. Last time they were here to buy seaweed ash. Now they want something else. Toru explains that they need a connection to the seaweed ash supplier. Plus, they're looking to commission custom potion flasks. The twins jump in with specific requests, shaping the base into a sphere for easier powder mixing and rawing a section to hold the fizzy powder bag in place when tied on. Langus shuts them down immediately. He reminds them that this workshop isn't a place for young ladies to hang out. Buying seaweed ash last time was fine, but asking for actual work is a different story. They take their craft seriously. This isn't the place for a casual hobby project. The twins immediately fire back with a stern tone, making it clear that if the task is too difficult, Langus should have just said so. They add that failing such a simple request from young ladies would hurt his reputation. Frustrated, Langus refuses to back down, determined to prove his skills. From there, they head to Vinter's shop, a cozy wine cellar corner. He even recognizes them right away, remembering them as the ones who bought wine crystals the other day. He jokingly asks if they'd like some wine this time and casually inquires if they own livestock, mentioning that some places use wine crystals for animal feed. Mary simply states they're back for another round of wine crystals. He even laughs, surprised at their interest, since the crystals are nothing more than barrel cleaning residue. When they excitedly ask if they can buy everything he has, he looks baffled, unsure if they're serious. He points out that it's just trash, but they remain firm, even presenting a paper with their proposed pricing. As he stares at them in shock, Toru can't help but think how wild it must feel to see worthless waste turn into something valuable. With containers and raw materials secured, everything seems set, but the twins are truly going all in. They're putting all their dungeon earnings and travel funds on the line, showing exactly how real merchants operate. Spot an opportunity. Go all in. Now, they set up a small stall in the bazaar right outside the dungeon entrance. Toru comments on their decision to start small, and they explain that their funds only stretched so far. By selling at a stall, they can generate enough money for mass production and build a solid reputation to eventually get their product into proper shops. Toru wonders if this will be an instant hit. With the nearby hot spring town, almost every adventurer is familiar with how effective sparkling potions are. If people knew how to make them, they'd be all over it. He figures they'll probably sell out in less than an hour. Hours pass and not a single bottle has been sold. Confused, Toru asks what's going on, since this was supposed to revolutionize everything. Miri calmly responds that this was expected. People doubt the potion's authenticity, knowing that sparkling potions aren't supposed to be transportable. Plus, the price is higher than regular potions due to various factors, making it less of a casual purchase. For adventurers, potions are a lifeline. They can't afford to trust something that seems suspicious. Toru realizes he's also relied on his favorite tried and true items for a long time. Frustrated, he'd asked how the twins can be so relaxed when this is everything they own. Why is he the one freaking out instead of them? They simply tell him that they're only getting started. As the sun sets and the bazaar starts winding down, he questions if anything can shake them. They point out that now is the time when adventurers return from the dungeon. The morning was spent preparing, but now the number of injured adventurers coming back is steadily increasing. Toru acknowledges that most will usually wrap up their explorations before it gets too late, except for those who stay longer. The twins explain that nearly every returning adventurer will have wounds, even minor ones. If their potion works in front of a crowd, the reaction will be instant and undeniable. Just as they predicted, adventurers start trying the potion. Shock spreads as they realize their wounds are healing instantly. Word spreads fast, and soon, a small crowd gathers around the stall. The twins seize the moment, hyping up the limited stock and offering free samples to those who just returned injured. Toru watches as their plan unfolds perfectly. They couldn't have asked for a better setup. Injured adventurers in need of potions, a public demonstration, and undeniable proof of effectiveness. He does question whether their bold advertising, complete with dramatic announcements, is necessary, but at this point, there's no turning back. With the free samples gone, the twins smoothly transition into selling the remaining stock. Demand skyrockets as adventurers scramble to buy, proving their strategy was a massive success. The sparkling potion quickly gains traction. Production ramps up, and word of mouth spreads like wildfire. Within just 10 days, hundreds of adventurers across Flareia start purchasing sparkling potions daily. The potion's unmatched effectiveness drives dungeon exploration to new heights. For years, progress had stalled at the 8th level, but thanks to the potions, adventurers finally pushed through to the 9th floor, a major milestone after a long period of stagnation. The breakthrough reignites hope that the entire dungeon might one day be conquered. However, not everyone is thrilled about these developments. Elsewhere, Madako-san carefully examines a bottle of sparkling potion, turning it in his hands with a thoughtful expression. The guild's motives become clear. It's all about the increasing speed of dungeon being cleared. With dungeons being sealed off more efficiently than ever, the city's economy is at risk of destabilization. The Merchants Guild relies heavily on dungeon resources, and without them, their entire operation would collapse. This isn't the first time they've pulled something like this. Rumors suggest that the current Grand Merchant had orchestrated similar schemes in the past when dungeon closures threatened business. The twins begin to suspect Madako's involvement in this situation as well. Toru points out that regardless of economic concerns, dungeons remain inherently dangerous. Reports of dungeon rampages and casualties continue to surface. Sealing dungeons isn't just a business decision, it's a necessary duty for adventurers to prevent future disasters. The Merchants Guild's interference goes beyond business strategy, it's blatant disrupt. The fact that they've resorted to such measures only proves how desperate they are. With no alternative, even Langus and Chiron stand up, making it clear that their partnership ends here. They hold no resentment but understand if the twins feel differently. After Avon, Langus, and Chiron leave, Toru thinks about Madako, struggling to believe he could be behind something like this. He turns to the twins, refusing to accept that this is the end of the road. There have to be other options. Finding new business partners or even moving to another town. The twins consider it for a moment but quickly shoot it down. No matter where they go, they'll run into the same problem. Any potential partner would still need to work with the same suppliers and adventurers who rely on sparkling potions. Finding another city with the perfect conditions they have here would be next to impossible. Hearing this, frustration builds in Toru. Thinking back, he remembers how he used to be afraid of losing the people who supported him, but as he got stronger, that fear changed. He started dreading the idea of letting people go. It made him hesitant to rely on others, just as he avoided letting anyone rely on him. Before he even realized it, he had become a lone B-rank adventurer, standing apart from everyone. But the twins aren't like that. They don't depend on others, and they don't expect others to depend on them either. They're fighting to stand on equal ground with him, pushing themselves forward with everything they've got. And now, after all their hard work, they're being crushed by forces completely out of their control. Anger surges through Toru. He won't let this slide. With renewed determination, he vows to strip the Merchants Guild of their excuse for shutting them down. There's a way to bring sparkling potions into the national spotlight, and they're going to make it happen. By harnessing their power, they'll conquer the Flareia dungeon once and for all. If the guild dares to stand in their way, it's time to show them exactly who they're up against.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away. Had to find the person